right, we're back. Simply
Hey,
Messy podcast.
yeah, welcome back.
I know. For those who don't know us, I'm Dr. Stephanie, and this is Matthew. Honorable doctor, by the way.
Oh, yes, honorable. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means,
Yeah,
it means a
people.
lot. It means you have life experiences.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I actually went through like the 6 years of,
Yeah, I thought
having to
about
do the
it for 2
research and
minutes, but,
dissertation.
yeah.
But you have the life experiences, though.
Yeah, well,
Well, I mean, I feel like today, we really want to get to know you. That's why you're kind of in the other
fun.
seat today.
We're going to have fun on
Yeah.
this. All right, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's just get right into it. Who is Matthew Cox?
Well, that's a $100 million question, or I think we all ask that question, who are we, right?
That's true.
No, I grew up in a small town, so one of the things I grew up in a small town in Hurricane, Utah. I don't know. Now, you know where St. George is.
I do know where St.
Yeah.
George is. Isn't it
And-
funny how we have that commonality that we started in
And-
southern Utah?
And your mom likes me because she knows St. George. And so, so I grew up in that small town. It was where the mayor was the bus driver, and he was the barber. That's how small it was when I grew up. And so I grew up with 7 siblings.
7.
Yeah. Well, we ended up, my father passed when I was 10, so he passed away. My mom was left with the 7 of them all by herself.
Wow.
Yeah. No education. She had to go back to school, and she became a Head Start teacher. Through that journey, I also, at a young age, I learned I had a disability, so I was illiterate. I couldn't read or write very well. So that's who I am. I was one of those short bus kids that just struggled, and we saw a lot of loss early on in our life. And then my mom remarried eventually, so then we added 5 more siblings. We never lived with them, but
okay.
we have a total of 12, his, hers, and ours,
Oh, wow. You got the cheaper by the dozen right there.
Kind of, yeah. We didn't get to live together, so he had his. They were all grown, but it was still interesting, combined different homes and stuff. So we've grew up with some trials. We experienced not having anything for a while, all the hand-me-downs, and we had to, when my mom went through that, it was tough for us. So that's who I am. I learned that at a young age I was very resilient. I had to figure things out, learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
School was not fun for me. School's easy for you, but it was not fun for
I
me.
never said
Yeah.
it was easy.
You're good at it. But for me, it was just that was a struggle. So what I learned at an early age is that I was good at people, talking to people.
Yeah.
I learned through school that I had to just figure out how to adapt. High school I got through it, but I was really good at sports. I played soccer. I was really good at soccer. Tried other sports, but I just kept coming back to that sport because it was just it was fun to me. But ended up playing for college, and then I took over the college team and started coaching it, and it was fun. So I had a knack to put systems and solve problems. I learned that at an early age, even though education was tough and reading and writing and math was always struggled. I kind of struggled my way through things, but I don't know how to explain it. There was just something about, like, I didn't ever give up. I just kept going and pushing, and I did things to prove that I could do them.
Well, it seems like the traditional way of learning didn't work for you, but
No.
you put your own systems together.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your head, there was a learning style that worked for you.
Yeah, it was visual, touch,
Visual.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to, like when a teacher would say, I remember one teacher said, "Hey, you just got to read harder, Matt." And I'm like, "What the heck does that mean?" Like,
What does read harder mean?
hit my
Closer
head
to
with
the
book.
page?
Yeah, I was like, they meant well. They just said you got to go practice more. I think that's what they were trying to say. You just got to. But phonics is interesting. People don't understand what that means when you hear you're illiterate or you have a disability. And in the mind of somebody that struggled with that, it's kind of like seeing it's your own language, but it feels like another language. Mm-hmm. And I have my wife and my sons both speak Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So I kind of pick the words up, but I don't understand everything, and that's what it felt like being illiterate.
Okay.
Like if I listen to another language, I'll pick one or two words up, but I don't pick the whole meaning up. And it sounds weird, but it's called a processing disorder. Like you phonetically will sound something out because that's how your brain works. Mine doesn't do that. It doesn't pick up the phonetics. And so then that's called a phonetic or an operating system in your brain. So if you think of your brain as two highways, you have the executive part of the brain that is working, and the other part's not storing what is being translated. So that's what it feels like. So my executive part's not saying, hey, that word is this.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to explain it to somebody that doesn't have that, because they're just like,
why don't you understand?
Yeah. I had a teacher in college that he was my journalist teacher.
Okay.
So I had to take journalism. And he's like, I sent an email, and it was grammar. It was terrible. Like the grammar was bad. And this was way before spell check, Stephanie. So
spell check, ChatGPT, AI doing everything for you.
Yeah. And I remember going to class, and he's like, man, that was the worst email you ever sent. If you're going to pass my class, you need to learn to write. And I'm like, it was an email. That has nothing to do with your class. And I had, in college, I had what was called ADA accommodations.
Okay.
So the Adults for Disabilities Act. So if I have a disability, you can go to college. So if anybody's listening, you can go to it's called the Disability Center. They give you accommodations. You show them your stuff from high school, and then they'll give you a note taker in class. You won't even know who's taking notes for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's just taking notes, and then they give them to you.
Oh, that's good.
And so he signed because each professor has to sign a paper that they acknowledge that I have accommodations, right? Mm-hmm. And I warned him. I says, hey, you realize you signed that paper. I just have to pass your class. I have to meet what you expect. And he wouldn't let off it. And so I learned to advocate very early in my days. And so I went and spoke to the advocating teacher and or my counselor. They called an advocation counselor. And that professor, he was an adjunct. He wasn't there next semester. Because it's a huge violation. You can't, if somebody has a disability or has that accommodations, you got to tread lightly.
Right. It's almost like a discrimination in some way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it might not be eternally. So so I guess where I'm going with it is just, who am I? Failure's been a big part of my life. It's like trying something, failing, having a hard time. So education wasn't my strength. It was learning systems. It's learning to be street smart. It's learning to be the hardest worker in the room.
Well, I mean, but I feel like that led you to a lot of successes.
Yeah, there was a cost. Yeah, I mean, success comes by, I think people think if I just am, everybody likes me, I'm going to be successful. I see that a lot right now as a past business owner. I watch new ones because you're young, I'm getting old, but
we're not
I know.
that different in age, Matt. I don't.
But I think success comes from you grinding and deciding what your passion is. Like that's what I had to find out is,
right.
What is my passion? Because my first business was a yard care business. Funny, right? Like, so in high school, this is the continuum of the story, is the high school, I dropped out in my senior year, or 11th grade. I didn't drop out, but I went to homeschool.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, hey, because I had severe anxiety. I don't know if you know, if you being a clinician, you know that. Like, it was enabling anxiety. So I'd be in class and my heart would start racing.
Your anxiety takes over and
bad.
you can't even focus and listen.
Yeah, and I thought something was wrong with me. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I found that the anxiety was that I was so scared of failing all the time. Like, test days were a nightmare. Like, I can honestly say in high school, I'd be lucky if I passed one test. It was because the reading is, you don't realize how important it is to understand words. So, like, to read, especially back in the 90s, there wasn't all this ChatGPT.
Or even the audio learning, right? I think the traditional way of learning it was just reading, writing, and people didn't understand that wasn't the only way to learn.
Yes.
And so you learned a different way.
I did.
You started homeschooling.
Yeah, so when I went to homeschool, it was interesting because I found, because I grew up with an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he was always doing some sort of deal, and I was always watching him. Even though I was 10 when he passed, I think I absorbed that because I look just like him. I talk just like him.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. My mom says it's kind of scary because he goes, "You're a spit image of him."
Wow.
And I was young, but I remember always going with him. He was building condos up in Zines National Park with my grandpa. He was going to do this project. I found a lot of his old projects, and it's funny that you don't, even though I didn't grow up with him for a long time,
Yeah.
I inherited a lot of his traits. I remember my dad would always if anybody needed something, he was always willing to help to his own demise. Like he would borrow his car to somebody, and then my mom didn't have a car or something.
Yeah.
He's always helping, and my wife laughs and says, "You're so like that." Like
You are though.
Yeah.
You are a natural helper.
To almost a fault sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I've currently been in situations where I help somebody, and I'm just like, but that's who I am. I'm not
Yeah.
going to stop, and I'm not going to change it just because the world's not nice, right?
Well, it sounds like your dad was a natural builder,
He was,
literal
yes.
in the literal sense too, and also building businesses and projects and
Yeah.
a reputation and a foundation for you. So fast forward to what was the first thing you built for
It
yourself?
was the yard care business, like I was saying.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. Me and my friend just started. He was my neighbor, Kelly Humphreys, and hey Kelly, if you hear it. Yeah, so we took his truck and we started putting lawnmowers in the back and just going to mowing lawns. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. People are paying us for this,
Right.
you know. And so I got a little bit more innovative, and I said he got bored because it was a summer thing, and he moved on. And then I went and bought a little truck, and then I started buying tools. And then the next thing I know, I have like 5 accounts, and I have 10 accounts.
Awesome.
And I had accounts in Zines National Park. So here I am, 17 years old, and I'm making almost $4,000 a month. And I'm like, and this is in the 90s. This is like 90.
That's a lot in the 90s.
Yeah, this is probably before I graduated. So 90, I'm going to age myself, 96, 95 around there, or
Yeah.
a little bit before that, 94 maybe. And so I was just driving around, and then I would do school on the side, where homeschool was, it was different back then. I would have little packets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get these packets were 1 credit, and then I'd do them. And it was still hard because we didn't have ChatGPT and all this. So I still had to, here's how not demoralizing, I shouldn't use that. Well, humbling it was.
Yeah.
I'd get my little brother, which is now my business partner,
Uh-huh.
the youngest of all 7. And I would say, hey, I need you to help me do my homework.
Wow.
And he would have to read it to me, and then I'd have to go through it. And it hasn't changed because as business
I was
partners,
gonna say, like,
it was the same
you
thing.
and Dan
Yeah,
are
yeah,
like really
yeah.
good business, and then you guys complement each other so
so
much
I would
now.
do an email, and I'd send it to him. He'd review it, and then I'd send it out.
Wow.
So it hasn't changed. So
Look at how that
yeah.
happened. Like, you manifested that happening. Like,
Yeah, he's
years
he's
later.
probably the only sibling I'd ever do business with. Sorry, guys, anybody else, but but he does have a knack for that. So that's how I got through the schooling. Like, I would have to humble myself, and most people won't do that. So I think God. I look back on it. I want to just say this. I think my disability was a gift. I
Yes.
can say that at 48 now. Now, early in my ages, I was really frustrated. I was mad. Why me?
Right.
And people that have this same learning disability can understand it. It's frustrating. Like
Yeah.
it's like being dyslexic and the words change on the paper. But I found that it made me ask for help. It made me think outside the box, and it made me stay humble. Because I feel if I didn't have it, I'd be a different person. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds weird, but like,
Not at all. I
Yeah.
mean, like, in your opinion, do you feel like your quote unquote failures, because you saw them as
Yeah.
failures and struggles at first, really helped you to where you are now more so
Yeah,
than your successes?
yes, every failure is a learning. And I learned that from my favorite theorist, Viktor Frankl. He talks about, what can you find in this thing that's happening in your life?
Yeah.
And I had to really search and say, hey, it's no fair. Whatever it, and being ADHD or being whatever you have, whatever you're dealing with, there's a reason that you can learn from it. So every failure I had, yes, it was a lesson.
Right.
And I still learn it today. I still am emotional. Like, I am the female in our house. My wife we have a joke because I have to process things. That's just how I was hardwired as a kid that had a learning disability, because I had to feel people's emotions. I don't know
But
if that
I
makes
don't
sense.
necessarily think that's a bad thing.
No, it's a gift.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I feel like emotions
yeah,
actually help you read
I can read
people.
people very
Yeah,
quickly. And then I know that sounds like kooky, but I can be in a room and I know your intent very quickly.
yeah,
And I trust you or I don't. Like, I think that's why we've been friends for so long, because you get what you see. Like, you're very, here's who I am.
yeah,
And some people hide that, and they have agendas like politicians.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust none of them, because you go into politics for the right reasons, but then it ends up corrupting you and
There's
changing your
too
values.
many other
Yeah.
things, too many other
Yeah,
variables.
it's
Yeah.
just too many variables. And so and I think that's why we've always been disruptors and looking at greater good and seeing things. And so I think that's what that gave me, is a talent of reading people very quickly.
And I think that non-traditional way of learning
Yeah.
helped you
Oh,
become
jeez, yeah.
the entrepreneur that
Yeah.
you are today, right? Because I don't think you would be where you are today if you went through traditional schools and did
No.
basic reading, writing, and arithmetic and took math, with
Yeah.
paper and pencil and not be homeschooled. So, I mean, when you built your first business, let's fast forward even
Okay.
further, okay? I mean, obviously you are a visionary. Like, you have
Yes.
conceptualized so many things and a lot of them came to fruition. So, we talked about your brother, Dan. So tell us about eventually what businesses you guys created together.
Well, before that, my first next business was a foster care business, which
Okay.
was in St. George, which got me into what led us to that business. So I started working with kids at risk, because I started coaching soccer, high school soccer. I
Yeah.
started seeing that there's more. And then I had a company pull me in. It was a foster company in Hurricane, uh, and she pulled me in and says, "Hey, I love what I see. I think you'd be good at this." So I started working with kids there, and I started doing their marketing. And so I started marketing at a very early age, and so I started getting introduced to therapy and all that. And even though I struggled through all what I've shared, I never went to therapy.
Yeah.
I always just relied on a higher power, or I was I had always a good friend that I can bounce things off. And not saying I think you should. I think it's not a bad thing. I just think the high resilience, the high recovering, I always thought of that, like, how did I get through that? So my next business was getting around those kind of people.
Okay.
So I had a really good mentor, Matt Eschler. He's in St. George. He was a therapist. Doc Mooney, Dean Nixon. They were all in that world, and so I got introduced to that world. And then can't remember her name now. It's slipping, but she was over the foster company, and then I ended up being a foster parent eventually. Like, I ended up partnering with somebody else, and we opened a foster home. I lived in the home with the kids, the 6 boys.
Wow.
And I was a full-time care, and I was only 22 at the time. So I got introduced very young on helping, because being a kid that struggled, I think I just kind of understood it. Like, I got it.
And I feel like it's because you were
Yeah.
more in touch with your emotions and you wanted
Yeah.
to help people because you felt
Yeah,
people.
it was not fun to struggle. Yeah.
You kind of created this business from your life
Yeah.
experiences and your emotions and your feelings.
Yeah, and I'm good at what I do as far as crisis manage, really helping people. I'm not a therapist, but I'm just good at coaching and getting people through something. And so that was a fun business. We did that for a while. I got introduced for my first failure, where my partner, he went and did his things, and him and his uncle were in charge of it. I hadn't seen any dime of the business, and I was running the homes, and so he was actually taking the paychecks on the side and
Oh, wow.
not paying me. So that was my first experience of failing. Well, it wasn't failure, but it was
yeah, I was gonna
being
say.
taken advantage of, because
Uh-huh.
I was too trusting.
So these
Yeah, yeah.
challenges, right, that you learn from.
Yeah, I've learned, and then but I was quick to respond. So I packed up, left that one, came to Doc. That's when Doc Mooney and Matt and those guys. Then I started working in seminars. So we started doing emotional growth seminars. So this is all my introduction to this world.
Wow.
And so I came in, and again, marketing. Everybody pulled me in for, hey, you're good, and I didn't even know I was a marketer. I was like, I always got thrown into that. And then with the emotional growth seminars, I saw a gap because I'm really good at seeing gaps, like in solving things. And I says, you guys, you're doing these 3-day workshops. People are getting huge, massive movements, but there's nothing in between the next one. So it was 3 different workshops, 3 days. Then they come back again and do another 3 days. I says, we need coaching. And this is when I started life coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 2007. And that was when I was introduced to life coaching. So I started up their life coaching product. And so I started coaching clients, and that was when I was introduced.
Wow, you did it way before everyone else did now.
There was hardly any life coaches then.
Yeah.
And so I started that. It was fun. I had Doc Mooney. He was a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
He passed since, but he worked for the CIA. He was
Wow.
he used to analyze people and try to get them to turn. And
Oh no, are we going to be in trouble now that you mentioned that?
no, yeah, he's passed on. So he's but he was a good mentor, is what I'm saying. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
So I was around a lot of good mentors in that field, which then led us to when I went through my schooling. I finished Dixie. I graduated with a bachelor's in media and film.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Vegas in 2009 after the first crash of the economy. And then
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah. So I came here. I was doing life coaching then, but then I came here and I came to the Wild West. It was nuts when it came to mental health.
I mean, yeah,
in
from
2009.
southern Utah
Still hasn't changed.
to
Yeah.
Las Vegas, that's also a culture
So
shift.
yeah, 2009 to 2026, nothing's changed. Just people. And it's still chaotic. It's still broken.
It's still the wild
Yeah,
west.
it's just so messy and going through that. So our first business here, I came and I started doing, I was finishing my master's in the University of Phoenix. Yeah, that was fun. The
So,
most
so
expensive
let me
school
back
ever.
up here
Yeah,
for
go
a
ahead.
second.
Yeah.
You say that traditional education is not your thing, yet
I survived it.
throughout this entire journey
Yeah.
that you're telling us, you actually finished
I did.
your bachelor's in media and a master's in
Public administration, yeah. Yeah, so it was hard, Stephanie. I'm very resourceful. So like Dan, I lived in the so Dan was helping me in high school. So in my bachelor's, I lived in the writing center. I always had tutors. So I took the initiative to know I had a gap.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out how to fill it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so then in my master's, I did the same thing. I had a good friend, and I would always say, hey, can you check this paper? Because for you, it would take you an hour and a half to write a paper. It takes me 5 hours. So for 1 hour, it takes me 5 for you. And I'm just guessing because writing papers were tough. And this is when technology wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Dragon Net, natural speaking, the little microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked. But so that's the difference is I'd always find a way around things. If somebody told me I couldn't do it, I'd figure it out.
Yeah.
I'd just go around it. Because reading and writing doesn't define your intelligence. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So when Doc was alive, I had to get into the University of Phoenix for my master's, I had to do an IQ test to get in there to get the accommodations for ADA accommodations. And Doc did my testing. He goes, hey, your IQ is about 110 or 110, but the effort you put into it, he says, you're about 160.
Oh, wow.
And I go, whoa, that's pretty high, Doc. He says, you put a lot of effort into things that most people, when it comes easy, they just stop.
And that's the thing. The traditional way of rating and scaling and scoring things is really inaccurate because we can't put everyone in the same.
No, you can't.
The same way of looking at what makes a certain score, like SAT scores and all these. Even IQs. It's like, what are you comparing it to, right?
Well, and it's based on such. It's the quantifying that data is like, hey, you did this little puzzle test, you did this.
Yeah, I mean it's a good baseline, but I think now, I think we are at a moment in time where there is more diverse way of measuring things. But yeah, back then this was it.
Yeah,
like you had a low IQ, you had low SAT scores, you were already judged.
Yeah, you were put there, and that's what he said. He says you're at an average IQ. He says, but the effort you put into it is way higher than others. So like if you have 120 IQ, most people just stay at that because they're he says they're lazy. This is from his words. He says, but you have to work harder, so then yours is higher. So like when I noticed after I went through University of Phoenix and started now going to that next business with Dan.
Yeah.
Actually, I started the first business with my wife, which was the outpatient here in Vegas, and my wife was not my wife at the time, but we started dating before the business, and then we started the business. But then we started our outpatient, and it was fun because my goal there was she was really good at running the business day to day. I was good at being the visionary.
Yeah.
And if they needed something solved, I was the person, hey, I need this. Okay, give me 10 minutes. I'll figure it out. Because that's my whole life. I've had to figure things out. I had to figure out, okay, there's this big brick in my way. I can't read or write. How do I get around it?
Yeah.
Most people just hit the brick and say, oh, I'm a victim. And I learned that you got to either go under or over or around it, because nobody's gonna come and rescue you. Like, I can't use that I have a disability as an excuse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so jumping real quick is then we then went from the outpatient, and Dan came in as he was a U.S. Marshal. He was he was a parole officer at the time.
So you and your brother are so different.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that way.
That guy, I know he doesn't really think of, his skill sets are way different.
Yeah.
And so he changed the way Utah does parole and probation. He actually helped redesign from hooking and booking to more mental health. He added the mental health piece, like, hey, let's get him treatment before we throw him back into jail.
So it's really interesting because your businesses are around feelings and emotions and helping people.
That's what he came to me when we did the residential. He says, hey, I'm helping redesign this, and I'm actually working part-time at a residential. Let's do this. And I says, I don't know how to do that. I says, let's do it.
Right.
And so our goal was never, our intent was never driven by money. It was always driven by, how do we solve this? How do we do this? And so when he came to me and says, hey, and I think I mentioned, we had a talk when I said, hey, I'm going to open the residential. And you're like, you're crazy. And I says, well, it's a need. It's a need. We need this. And so I always came from needs. What was the greater good in Vegas? That's where my heart was always at.
Right.
And so when he said that, I says, oh, I don't know where to start. Let's start. And so we just started doing it. We're actually going to open it in Utah. And then we actually had a building, everything. We were ready to go. And then this other person named Kim calls us out of Nevada and says, we need you here. And we're like, well, we were already like halfway with remodeling this building. And so we got talked into coming here because the need was so well. So they talked us into it. And so when we came here, we were the first to pioneer it. It's never fun to pioneer something.
So after you got here, and you create this business out of just, the need that was here, right? You were called for the need. You wanted to do it because of your passions for helping people, right? But once you started, you realized, wait, it isn't just about the people and the feelings and wanting to help people. Now you got to get into the technical sides of things. So how did that create obstacles for you?
Well, the technical side for me, or just in general?
Just both.
Yeah. For
you and for the ability to really successfully grow this business and have it sustainable here.
It was hard because doing something simple is simple, but doing something complex is harder. And so when there's more moving components, and then you have a system that's very broken. Yeah. And so you're going into, and we didn't know that. Now looking back on it, I still do it. Like I don't care of the outcome. I would, if somebody asked me, would you do it again? I'd say yes.
Absolutely.
Because success is hard, and what is success? Everybody defines that differently. Mm-hmm. Somebody might say, well, it was a failure. No, I sold my business. I sold it in 2021. I exited, and the new owners, whatever they did after that was on them. But the thing is, as you think about it, success is, why did we sell? Is that we wanted to grow. So that complexity, the question you asked is, there was so many, we just had a vision, and then getting into the complexity and all the moving things, that's pioneering, because you're pioneering something that nobody's done. So you get into it a year, oh my gosh, and then another year, oh, we got to now redo this because they don't have this, or they don't know what the heck they're doing. And so it was a very stressful 7 years, I'm going to tell you. Like, that's why I have a stomach and I can't get rid of it.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you, so
Yeah.
looking back, what was most helpful for you
Oh,
in this 7 years of struggling with,
wow.
running a business and all of that? Was it your life experiences and all that you learned from your mentors? Or was it what you learned through your education, through your bachelor's, through your master's, and even, the ability to finish a project or write a paper in school?
That's a good question. I think for me, school had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it was just my ability from being resilient and problem solving.
Okay.
Because I've always been a problem solver. And Dan's more of the intellectual. He's more of the systems. I was more of, well, why don't we do this, or we should do this. So I think that's what saved us, because he had that clerical background understanding of policy. I had, let's solve the culture. So I
Yeah.
was a very culture person. So I think education, it helped me just know I can do things and finish it. But I think it was from all my failures that failures were just part of, like, okay, that didn't work. Let's now go here. Like, that didn't work. Let's do this.
I
Yeah.
honestly don't think they're failures. I
No,
think that they
they're
were
learning. It's
obstacles
the
and
mother of learning,
challenges
yeah.
that helped create these teachable moments for you,
Yeah,
because
well-
without them, you wouldn't be
well,
where you are today.
We've been that way since we were little. You fall down,
Yeah.
ouch, you get back up. You fall down again, and it's the same concept of learning to walk.
Right.
But we as a society look at it as negative, and I
Right.
don't. I think, okay, well, you don't want me in your. That's like, say if I'm working with somebody and they, oh, I don't like you, Matt. Well, I don't need to spend my time with you then. Like, I know my worth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know what I bring to the
So
table.
you're about worth, value,
Oh, yeah.
feelings, and that's what helps you create
Life,
decisions
yeah,
and
life. What I've learned
choices.
as a short bus kid, and I say that daringly, life is too short. Like, it is just too short to worry about being liked. And as an entrepreneur doing big things, Socrates said, if you don't want to have criticism, say nothing, be nothing, do
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah,
and you
That's-
won't have criticism.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if you do something great, you're going to get criticized, because there's going to be jealousy. There's going to be, oh, you're not in our club, you're not in our group. I've seen that more as I got older, and I just don't care. Like, I'm like, and I think that's the gift of being a short bus kid. It's like, I am emotional. I do get my feelings hurt. Don't get me wrong, but it's just for a moment. I give my time. I give myself permission to get mad for about 5 minutes, and then I move on.
yeah.
Because if you lose my loyalty, Stephanie, you won't get it back.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
Not you. I'm just saying, if anybody, because you've been so good.
I feel like we are going to get to know you so much more as we go through this podcast. I feel like
I
this
got a lot
is
to
just
offer.
you definitely have a lot of life lessons to offer.
Yeah.
So, I love that. I feel like that was a good kind of takeaway, for this episode, was this is who Matthew Cox is.
That's
This
it.
is where you started. And, I love that you ended it with that,
Yeah.
that, you gave us a lesson to leave with today. And I feel like we're going to get to know all the things you learned from your mentors, your life experiences, and, get to hear your stories and maybe meet some of these people along the way,
Yeah, much
as we
more.
bring
We
on
come
guests for our
interview 'em,
podcast.
yeah.
So I love that. I know, like, time went by so fast, but I really wanted you to be able to tell your story in this episode, and I feel like we did. But we're going to leave it as a cliffhanger, because now,
Come back
like, there are
for
questions.
more.
Like, I want to know more now about
Yeah.
what happened with the businesses and, the struggles that you felt, and how did you use your systems, and, as well as the relationships with people that you built to help you along the way. So
Yeah.
I guess that's going to be a to be continued for another episode.
Yeah, Simply Messy, right? Yeah,
Yes, the
let's
Simply
do it.
Messy podcast, and I love this. And what's the one last, in like 10 seconds, that you want to tell everyone for today? Because
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I
sure there'll
think-
be many lessons in the future.
Yeah, through my story and just what I shared is that resilience. Don't get caught up, because life is short. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry about it, because in 20 years, nobody's going to know you. Like, if you think about it, who was the richest person in 1740? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
And that's the thing. Don't get caught up that your position is so big and your ego is so big, because in 30 years, nobody's going to know you. Like,
Yeah.
just be a kind person and do the right thing.
Yes, I love that.
That's it.
All right. Well, until next time, let's simply be messy together, and
Yeah.
then, we'll continue to talk about the mess that is life.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Thanks, Matt.